Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, the team gets a much-needed victory on Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers that snapped their 3-game losing streak. We'll talk all about it. We'll take you inside the Raiders locker room and a whole lot more. All coming up on Tuesday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, October 10th, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won, and won, and won, and won, and won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making this show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast to get the latest edition of the show. Of course, if you're checking us out on YouTube, thank you in a major way. Whether you give us 3 minutes or 33 minutes, we definitely appreciate your time. We also appreciate my man Ari. Does a great job each and every day making sure we're on YouTube, we're looking good, and we're sounding good. So we definitely appreciate him. You can check him out on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can also hit me up on Twitter as well at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line at 707-654-4693. Coming up at segment number 3, normally we do have the calls and texts. Not today. We're going to take you inside the Raiders locker room. We had a big opportunity to inside the locker room, talk to a bunch of different guys, and that's how it happens when you get a victory, right? When you get a victory, the guys are a little bit more willing to talk, so we talked to a bunch of players following the game, following the 17-13 victory over the Packers. So the guys that I have hand out game balls to, coming up in segment number 2, you're actually going to hear from in segment number 3. So those guys you can look forward to hearing inside the Raiders locker room immediately following the game. And then in segment number 2, as mentioned, I'll hand out the game balls to the ones that I feel like deserve it. Of course, you could always chime in and let me know who you think deserve it. But the guys that I believe deserve the game balls, we'll get them in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, news and notes, or really just how we arrived at a 17-13 victory for the Silver and Black, improving their overall record to 2-3 on the season. We'll jump right into that after I tell you about Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. I'll tell you a lot more about them later on in the show. Maybe you need some extra last-minute tickets for this game coming up this weekend against the New England Patriots. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Segment number 1 here, news and notes. The Raiders get the 17-13 victory over the Packers and are now 2-3 on the season. They stopped the bleeding. They had a 3-game losing streak, and they needed to win bad, real bad, and they got it done. And it wasn't pretty. Just like the first win of the season against the Denver Broncos was not pretty, but you can never get mad at a win. You just can't. You can criticize a loss. You can get angry at a loss, but you should never get mad at a win. Now, again, it was not pretty. The offense still did not score 20 points. They still have not scored 20 points in a single game yet through 5 games this season. That's problematic, but their defense, and I got to give their defense a ton of credit, they made enough plays to keep the Packers at bay and not allow them to score, especially at the end of the game when they had an opportunity to go down and win the game. But let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers real quick. Jimmy Garoppolo, 22 for 31, 208 yards, a touchdown, and 1 wide Jimmy. 1 wide Jimmy means an interception. The throw that he made to throw that interception was just not even close, and it was, like I said, a wide Jimmy. That's his 7th interception on the season. The Raiders now have turned the ball over 11 times, and that's also problematic, but at least they were able to win the turnover battle on Monday night as they created 3 turnovers of themselves, 2 interceptions from Robert Spillane, and a game-sealing interception at the end from one Amik Robertson. But Jimmy G, 22 for 31, 208 yards, a touchdown, and interception. His main target, Jacoby Myers, 7 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown on 10 targets. Devontae Adams only had 4 catches on 45 yards on 4 targets, and really it was 1 target in the first half, 1 catch in the first half, and then 3 later in the game. Michael Mayer, the rookie tight end, 2 catches, 39 yards on 3 targets. So it was conversations leading into the game that he was going to get involved in the game, and he did. As a matter of fact, the very first pass of the day from Jimmy G went to Michael Mayer, a nice little gain. So, he had a couple targets in the game and came up with a couple catches for 39 yards. Josh Jacobs on the ground, 20 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 24-yard run to kind of pad that a little bit, and then 5 catches for 20 yards on 5 targets. So that was kind of the offensive distribution right there, and the offense just wasn't very good. It really wasn't. And there was a couple times that, I don't like to criticize and question the coach too often because it's just he's the coach and I'm not. But there was a couple times in the game that I really scratched my head. I was sitting in the press box watching the game wondering, wait, why would you do that? And one was right before halftime. The Raiders had just got off the field. They were going to get the ball back with what looked to be about a minute 30 right before halftime. I thought they'd have a chance to drive down the field and maybe score. And I thought Coach McDaniels would call a timeout. He didn't. So about 30 to 40 seconds ran off the clock. And then by the time they got the ball back, it was deep in their own territory with 55 seconds. And they had 2 timeouts. They did still get a field goal attempt, but it's 53 yards, and it was tipped. So Daniel Carlson missed that field goal. I thought it would have been a better decision to call the timeout right when they got that third down stop, force the Packers to kick it. They still would have had over a minute and some change, but again, I'm not the coach. That was just one of the decisions I didn't like. And then late in the game, it was 4th and 2, and the Raiders decided to kick another 52-yard field goal as opposed to trusting their offense and trying to pick up the first down and salt away the game. And Carlson kicks a 52-yard field goal. It hits the up bar. It hits the crossbar. It hits the uprights, I should say, and it bounces out. So the field goal is no good, puts the defense on the field, and they have to seal the deal, and they have to win the game, and they do. To Amik Robertson's credit, he made a big play in the end zone, 5'9", going up against Christian Watson, who was 6'4", and Amik just climbed the ladder and did a hell of a job to get that interception. That was the 3rd interception for the Raiders on the day, and that's how they got it done. But yeah, defensively, if you look at what they did, the Spillane 2 interceptions, Amik with the 1 interception, Crosby and Trayvon Merrick had a sack. Crosby had multiple pressures and also tackles for loss. He had 4 tackles for losses on the day. Trayvon Merrick continues, I think, to play better and better and better. And, you know, there's a lot of people that have questioned the defense. I've questioned the defense at times, but the last couple of games, especially in the second half of the Chargers game last week and a loss, and then this whole game, really, I mean, there was a couple busted plays that they had, but for the most part, man, the defense played really well. Right, the Packers only scored, 3 first-half points, and then they scored 10 points in the third quarter to get their 13 total, and that was it. So, I mean, the Raiders' defense, I thought, did a really good job. You're not going to win a lot of games in the league if you only score 17 points, but to the Raiders' credit, they were able to do that. They were able to hold them to 13 points and find a way to help the Raiders win that game. If you're keeping a tally, the Raiders have now 9 sacks on the season and 4 interceptions as a team. It's still not where they need to be, but you know that they come in bunches. Sacks and interceptions come in bunches. Max is averaging 1 sack per game now. He's up to 5. And, again, multiple pressures, multiple tackles for loss. And after the 3 interceptions on Monday night, the Raiders are now up to 4 interceptions as a team. But they've got a lot of work to do. And no player in that locker room was super excited and fired up about the performance that they put in because they know, especially on the offensive side of things, it wasn't good enough. Was it good enough to get it done? Yeah, for sure. They won the game. There's no doubt about that. But they know that they're not going to win games consistently with that kind of offensive performance. They've just got to, again, still find a way to establish the run. Again, Josh Jacobs had, 69 yards rushing, but 1 came off a 24-yard run. So if you take that out of the equation, you know, he has 19 carries for 40-something yards. That's not going to, and that's not going to do 45 yards to be exact. That's not going to do what they need to get done. And the Packers are not a team that was really good at stopping the run, and the Raiders had less than 100 yards rushing as a unit. So they've got to find a way to get this thing going. They've got to find a way to, when they do create turnovers, score points off of it. The 2 interceptions that Spillane had, they only scored 3 points off of that, right? You've got to find a way, and one of them was point blank. The one where they scored 3 points, Spillane took it back just about inside the 10-yard line, and they were only able to get a field goal out of it. And I remember talking to Bryce Butler at halftime, and he said, man, you've got to trust your offense. You've got to be able to, when you have it 1st and goal, go for the kill shot. Throw the ball to Devontae. Get the ball to your best players in your best players' hands. What are you doing? And it was just the play calling was questionable at best. You know, I know we'll talk to Coach McDaniels around 10:30 this morning, but it was just, there was a lot of questionable play calls that I saw on Monday night that just, to me, didn't really have any rhyme or reason. And, again, I hate to just be super critical and say that I don't agree with what the coach was doing, but it seems like there's been multiple weeks now where there's just been so many questionable decisions, going all the way back to the Steelers game instead of going for, the first down and the touchdown, kicking the field goal and still being down 5, and going back to this game on Monday night, not preserving the timeout and not going for the 4th and 2, trying to pick up the first down and kick a field goal instead. It just seems like there's some decisions that are being made that you just wonder why, in fact, are they making that decision at that moment. Again, can't get overcritical on a victory, but the teams that are coming up, they don't look great on paper, but you don't play the games on paper. Even the Patriots who are coming up this week after getting beat down by the Saints, getting shut out by the Saints, you look at them and say, oh, okay, well, their offense is terrible. The Raiders are going to be able to take advantage of it. Look, they better clean up whatever they got to clean up, and they got to play on a short week too. So they've got some bumps and bruises that they need to get over. Of course, Devontae Adams is still not 100%. His shoulder is still pretty jacked up, and it's going to take a while for him to recover from that. But they've got to get things figured out, because that offensive performance, again, under 20 points for the 5th time this season, you're not going to win a whole bunch of games. But again, credit to them for finding a way to get it done and improving overall to 2-3 on the season. So coming up in segment number 2, who's getting a game ball from me? I'll just tell you right now, they're all on the defensive side of things. So we'll get right into that after I tell you about the title sponsor, which is Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Maybe the next big event is this upcoming Sunday, Raiders and Patriots. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you get there. All-in prices show your total up front. You know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with basically two little taps. It's real simple. All you got to do right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Time to hand out game balls. Only the second time that I've had that opportunity to do that this year through 5 games, as the Raiders are now 2-3 on the season. And they're all coming on the defensive side of things, and it's only 3. I got 3 guys that are getting game balls, and I'm pretty sure that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who they are. But first and foremost, Amik Robertson. Got to give him a lot of credit. He's a guy that's been forced into action with the injuries to Nate Hobbs and Jacorian Bennett, who also missed the game on Monday. He's dealing with a shoulder and a hamstring injury. And so Amik Robertson was thrown into the mix, and he stepped up, and I was really happy for him after talking to him in the Raiders locker room on Saturday. Asked him about the Trayvon Merrick interception, and is it possible for that to become contagious? And all of a sudden the Raiders start to get it in bunches, and he had a real positive outlook. He loves the game of football, loves every opportunity he gets to be out there. And every player in that Raiders locker room following the game, anyone we asked about Amik, they all got super fired up. He's a dog. He's our guy. We love him to death. He fights so hard to get onto the field, and when he gets on the field, he makes the most of it. And so Amik Robertson coming up with the game-sealing interception was huge. I mean, he did exactly what the Raiders and their corners need to do, right? Something that we've been talking about for the longest, something that they made an emphasis in the offseason, in training camp, in preseason about see ball, get ball. Amik Robertson saw the wide receiver, Christian Watson's eyes get big. He turned, located the ball, and rose up. I mean, he jumped out the gym to go get that ball and caught it at its highest point, came down in bounds, and game, set, match, right? I mean, just closed it out. That was awesome to see. Something that was much needed and something that we don't talk about very often. The Raiders defense sealing the deal in a game, but that's what they're doing. And, it's funny. They've only won 2 games, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But the defense may be the reason why this team wins games, right? We talked about the turnovers, and I talked a lot about the defense in the offseason and, talking about the offense was going to be great. The defense just had to complement it. Well, right now the offense is not great, but the defense is doing its job. They're doing everything they can. Outside of that Buffalo game, they've had an opportunity to win every single game, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that defense has kept them in games. They've let them hang around. They haven't been super impressive, but, the second half of the Chargers game gave them a real boost to give them a chance to win that one. And then, of course, what they were able to do on Monday night against the Green Bay Packers. So Amik, got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, the guy stays ready. Right? Whenever his number is called, he's just ready to go. He plays multiple positions. Wherever they ask him to play, he plays. And he went and made a big play in front of his family and friends and sealed the deal for the Raiders' victory. And, of course, the other guy who came away with turnovers on Monday night, Robert Spillane. right? The guy who is a liability in coverage, my words. Right, a lot of people's words that covered Robert Spillane when he was in Pittsburgh, and once he joined the Silver and Black, it's like, okay, he's really good at being a downhill threat. He's a guy that'll stop the run. He'll get his head in there. He's a real physical player, but he's a liability in coverage. And all he did in training camp and preseason was go out there and make plays, right? Especially in training camp, was able to come away with multiple interceptions, either, in 7-on-7 sessions or other sessions, even 11-on-11 in the indoor facility. He came away with multiple interceptions. And I thought, well, maybe he's going to start doing that in the regular season. And we hadn't seen anything. And it came to fruition on Monday as he got 2 interceptions. The first one was just a terrible read from Jordan Love. That's the one that he returned inside the 10-yard lines, and the Raiders were only able to get a field goal out of it, which was a shame. The second one, got to give Marcus Peters a lot of credit. He made a nice play, got his hand in there to break up the ball. It tipped up in the air, and unlike what normally happens with the Raiders, Robert Spillane was able to come down with it. Right place, right time, see ball, get ball. That's exactly what he did. More times than not, when the Raiders tip a ball up in the air, it harmlessly falls to the ground. It did not happen like that on Monday. As a matter of fact, he almost came away with a third interception. He was right around the ball for a third interception, but big-time performance from Robert Spillane. Marcus Peters was a guy that was getting very frustrated on Monday, and then all of a sudden he came up with that play, and that's kind of who he is. He's a guy who's going to frustrate you. He's going to make you mad. He's not going to be a guy that's going to tackle very well. He's been playing on super off coverage, so it was really a lot of pitch and catch between Jordan Love and the wide receivers, and even the head coach, Matt LaFleur, said, we're going to go after Marcus Peters. We're going to target Marcus Peters because they know that, one, his tackling is not great, and 2, he's playing so far off. He's not in the bump and run coverage. He's in, that zone coverage. So they're going after him, right? But he finally, after getting picked on, I thought, multiple times throughout the game on Monday, finally made a nice play, got his hand in there, nice little breakup, and Robert Spillane was able to come down with it. Also, Spillane was very active as far as tackles. He had about 9 tackles on the day, so got to give him a lot of credit. And he's a guy that's been trying to set the tone for the Raiders defense anyway. Him and Max Crosby are really good friends, and they both have basically the same mentality, right? They want to be the best at what they do. They want this defense to be the best. They want to be the reason why the Raiders win games. And the defense on Monday was the reason why the Raiders won games. So you hear from Robert Spillane, you'll hear from Meek Robertson, both coming up in segment number 3 of today's show, and you'll also hear from Mad Max Crosby. A sack, multiple pressures, 4 tackles for loss. There was points where he just was the only dude out there getting after it on that defensive line, but, he was very, very active. Marcus Peters, I got to go back to him real quick, made a play on Christian Watson where he had a horse collar penalty after a big-time gain. It was just a busted coverage, and Meek went up, and Marcus Epps went up as well. One guy was supposed to stay back with Watson. I believe that was Epps' guy, and Meek Robertson was supposed to roll up. He rolled up, Epps rolled up, left Christian Watson all by himself. You got to give Marcus Peters credit for catching him. And then he got a horse collar penalty. So the ball was at the 9, and then it got moved up to the 4. But because he got that penalty, it stopped from the Packers from scoring a touchdown, and they didn't get a touchdown on that drive. They had 3 more plays, and they ended up having to kick a field goal. So it was actually ended up working out really well. He might say that was what he was going for. He might have just got lucky. But whatever the case may be, it ended up being a really good play by a veteran. So you got to give him a little bit of tip of the cap. Now, I'm not giving him a game ball for that, but I do give him credit for, the tip ball that Spillane intercepted, and then also the horse collar penalty that kept Watson out of the end zone and allowed the Raiders an opportunity to stop them and force them to kick a field goal, which they ultimately did. But Max Crosby, he's just the dude. 5 sacks on the season, multiple pressures, right? Multiple tackles for loss. The guy is incredible. You know what he's going to bring each and every day. He just wants to win, and he's going to give it to you. He's going to bring it. So got to give him credit for being able to get to the quarterback, and really was harassing Jordan Love quite a bit throughout the course of the day. Had Jordan Love on the run multiple times. Max was just that relentless dude that he always is. So those are the 3 game balls that I'm handing out: Meek Robertson, Robert Spillane, and also Mad Max Crosby. If you have a game ball that you'd like to hand out, let me know about it. 707-654-4693. That's the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line. We'll get back to calls and texts coming up on Wednesday's show. Coming up in segment number 3 of today's show, going to take you inside the Raiders locker room to hear from those guys that I just gave game balls to: Meek, Robert Spillane, and Max Crosby. That's all going to come up after I tell you about FanDuel. And what you need to do is snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, good. Do it. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season the right way. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to take you inside the Raiders locker room and wanted you to hear from the guys that I'm handing out game balls for their performance on Monday Night Football as the Raiders get the 17-13 win over the Green Bay Packers and improved to 2-3 on the season. First of all, I want to tell you everyone that we had a chance to talk to. Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Peters, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Jacoby Myers, Tyree Wilson, Bilal Nichols, Andre James, Amik Robertson, Robert Spillane, and Max Crosby. Every one of them was not one-on-one. Most of them, the majority were, little scrums, whereas multiple guys there asking questions. But still, a lot of guys that we got a chance to catch up with in the Raiders locker room. So a really good job, and we'll sprinkle those in throughout the course of the week here on the podcast and, of course, on Raider Nation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness as well. But first and foremost, the guy that came up with the game-winning interception, it's Amik Robertson. I want to start out with him. Here's a couple minutes of him inside the Raiders locker room following the game, just kind of talking about the mood he was in and, what was going through his mind when he picked out that interception at the end of the game.
I was able to just celebrate that moment with my family. I gave the game ball to my family. Just sharing a moment like that, man, it was crazy. Before the crowd, I kind of tuned it out. Like, I was just in the zone. I didn't hear anything.
Spillane said that was one of the best interceptions he's ever seen, just the way that you pulled it. Can you describe the interception that you made there to save the game?
Just doing my job, trusting my eyes. When I saw his eyes get big, I didn't panic. Like I said, I trust my ball skills, and I got my head around. Instead of waiting for it to come to me, I just jumped up and I got it.
Degree of difficulty on that one, what was it?
I can't really tell you because I kind of toned out. Everything was slow, so I can't really tell you. I didn't even see the video yet on it, so I don't know. Hopefully, I did a great job, and y'all saw my bunnies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were just talking on Saturday about getting balls, and you said that you want to get your hands on it next to get the game winner. How'd that feel to you?
It was a special moment, man. But like I said before, in this league, man, you're doing good. Everybody love you.
Yeah.
But the moment they turn their back. So I just had that mindset of, I appreciate the moment. It was a great moment being able to celebrate with my family and my friends. But, it's 24-hour rule, man, is on to next week.
Right. We were talking to Robert earlier, and he said he got in the huddle and said, D, it's on us. We got to get it done. What did that mean to you to know that you had to get it done defensively?
Honestly, when I walked on the field, man, I told myself, I know the ability that God blessed me with, so the moment I walked on the field, I said I was going to be the reason. Because, I'm an undersized guy, one of the smartest guys on the field, so I knew they was going to come at me. I just wanted to, be the reason we pull out the dub, man, and, it was just a special moment to be able to celebrate with my teammates.
We knew that they were going to test the ball deep multiple times throughout the game. Again, we talked about it on Saturday. Just how much pride did you take that the whole defense was able to hold it down and eliminate that big play?
I'm proud of us, man. Because we work so hard, man. It's a tough league. It's tough to win in this league. Mm-hmm. So fortunately we got a dub tonight, man. We just got to keep on going.
What's going through your mind right now?
I'm just ready to go celebrate with my family, man. My son. I got my oldest son in town.
Nice.
My mom. My immediate family. So I'm just ready to just go celebrate with them.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
So there's Amik Robertson in the Raiders locker room. Just so happy for him. Really, he's been counted out multiple times. Hell, I've counted him out multiple times. And he always just keeps on coming back. He keeps on fighting, and he keeps on making plays. He is the only dude left from the 2020 draft for the Raiders, and he's just the guy that goes out there and makes plays. He's not the biggest in size, but he knows the situation. He knows the time. He knows that teams are going to come after him because of his size, and he just finds ways to make plays. Is he perfect? No, of course not. But man, he goes out there and he brings and gives 100% effort, and you got to appreciate that. And even when it's not even making a play on the ball, he's still getting after the ball carrier. He's not afraid to go in there and tackle, and that's something that I could definitely appreciate, especially something that's 100% different than Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters gives you a ho-hum effort when it comes to tackling, but Amik Robertson, he gets after it in a major race. So that was Amik Robertson in the Raiders locker room. How about Robert Spillane? He came away with a couple interceptions, 9 tackles. He was really a guy that brought a lot of juice and energy to that Raiders defense. Here's Robert Spillane in the Raiders locker room following their win.
Robert, man, coming into tonight, 1 career interception, you get 2 in the same night tonight. What do you attribute that to, man?
Yeah, just keep trusting the process. Every day we're process oriented, and we look at the results, we clean things up, and we move on. And more or less, we're going to do the same going forward.
Is there some extra satisfaction for you when you make plays in the passing game, when you're so often noted as such a good run defender, but you've made some big plays in the passing game?
I consider myself an all-around football player who loves the game, loves all facets of the game. So I just love being out there, being able to help my team get a win.
Is the ball like a magnet? Once you get one, you start seeing it even a little bit bigger?
We just opened the floodgates, and now we just got to keep continuing to build on assaulting that pocket and finding ways to get the ball out.
How satisfying was it to get a win by strength of the defense?
Huge. My first win in Allegiant Stadium. It means the world to the Raider Nation, and I'm just glad we could provide that.
You talked about the people in front of you, specifically Max and the job he did tonight. He looked like he was more even possessed than you.
That dude lives possessed. I mean, everything he does is at full speed. Practice, walkthrough, game, film. So I just admire his work ethic, and he shows up every time the lights come on. So I'm just glad to be working behind him.
Robert, when you see him having the game that he's having, do you anticipate even more balls perhaps going your way for you to pick him off like that?
Yeah, teams always got to figure out what they want to do with Max Crosby. Do they double him? Do they triple him? And he still finds a way to get pressure on the quarterback. So the more that we can do that with 4 rushers, the better our pass defense will be.
It's about Amik Robertson, too, stepping up in a bigger role today and coming through for you guys.
I mean, one of the best interceptions that I've ever seen in my life. 50 yards down the field, to be able to contort his body, high point the football, and end the game like that. What an outstanding play by a player who's just been gnawing at the bit to get on the field. So I'm excited for him. He's trusted the process, continue to get better, and we're excited for him.
What were you saying in the huddle in that final possession?
It's on us, D. It's on us. So let's step up and win this game.
Robert, can you just take us through what you saw in that first interception of yours tonight?
Yeah, they have 2 tight ends who are off the ball. It's one of their play action looks, so I wasn't really over anticipating run. When they went to play action, I kind of just held my location, and a receiver ended up running behind me, and the quarterback threw me the ball.
You made some pretty definitive statements in training camp that you wanted the defense to be seen kind of as a strength of this team instead of a weakness. With what you guys have done the last few weeks, do you think you've made some strides towards that?
I think we're 2-3 right now, and we're still at these beginning stages of the season. We want to build upon what we've done well, clean up the things that we haven't done well, and keep pushing forward.
When you say that it's on us, D, we got to get it done, how much extra juice does that give you?
Oh, that's pride. I mean, that's how we want it to be every game. I know when I look at those guys in the eyes, they give me that fierce competitor look like, let's go do it. Let's make this happen. So I never doubted for a second. Those guys don't blink. So when our time comes, it's exciting.
Yeah, Robert Spillane, he just talks like he's a football player, right? I mean, that's the first thing that I took away from when we first got to meet him in the summertime during training camp. When just listening to him in a media session, I'm like, man, this dude just loves ball. Right, he just loves to play ball. He loves the challenge of being out there. You heard how excited he was to get his first win at Allegiant Stadium, and continue to be the reason why the Raiders win games. He wants the defense to be the reason why they win games, and he told them straight up, hey, this is on us. We got to go out there and close the door, seal the deal, and that's exactly what they did. Final sound I want you to hear from the Raiders locker room from Monday's victory is with Mad Max Crosby. This is a lot longer, as you could imagine. A lot of people are going to be around Max and want to hear from Max. So here's Max Crosby in the Raiders locker room talking about the 17-13 victory over the Green Bay Packers.
It's incredible. We talked about it. It's just, in this game, it's about getting at-bats or shots at goal or whatever way you want to put it. Eventually they come, and they come in bunches. So today we got 3 of them. Super excited about it. And, you got to give a big shout-out to Spillane. He got 2 picks. And Amik closing the door at the end. So, yeah, the guys are working their ass off and could be more proud of them.
How big was that for Amik, who hasn't got a ton of playing time, but when he had to step in, he made the big play?
Well, I feel like Amik, does it every year. he waits his turn, he comes in and balls out. He does it every single year. So obviously it's earlier on in the season now, so you got to find a way to put that guy on the field. He's an incredible player. He's always making a play on the ball. So yeah, I'm super proud of him. Dude's an awesome person and a good player, man. He's getting better and better.
You guys need to stop at the end. How much confidence do you have that you would get it, and how much does that do for you going forward to know that you can do that?
We're super confident. We were expecting to go back out in the field, having to close it, and that's what we want. We talked about it all week. We've been talking about it since OTAs. We want to be the reason we win, and a lot of people have been talking about our defense and what we don't have, and we know what we got. So we just got to keep improving and going in the right direction.
They had that 70-yard play, and you guys stopped them at the 4-yard line. Yeah. What's the mentality in the huddle at that point? What's going through your guys' head at that point?
For us at that point, it was like, Marcus made a great play, even though he got a penalty. If he doesn't get him down right there, it's a touchdown, and that, changes the outcome. So Marcus made a vet move. He found a way to get him to the ground, and we got to stop. We got a TFL first play, I believe, another run stop, and then an incompletion. So that's what it's all about, just playing complimentary football, not freaking out when they make a big play. I feel like that was like their one big play of the game, and, so we just didn't freak out, and that's what we've been focused on. The guys communicate so well. We have our moments on the sideline. We'll get into it, argue. Me and Marcus, got into it today. He was telling me to chill out because I got the penalty, and I was mad, but he was right, even though the dude, whatever that was, flopped and whatever. But we're playing together, and we got guys that are close, and that's really what it's all about at the end of the day.
Keeping them out of the end zone right there. Look, it seems like it could have been the biggest set of plays in this game, and especially when you consider the fact that the next thing the Raiders offense did is drive down the field for a touchdown. How much of an effect do you think what you guys did had on the offense after that?
Yeah, we talk about it. Like I said, it's complimentary football. You want to get off the field. You want to give your offense more chances. You want to, the offense has got to stay on the field as well. They can't just get 3 and outs, and so just playing together and playing for each other. And you see that, the offense, they're getting better and better. There's still room for improvement, and defensively it's the same thing. So every single time we go out there on the practice field, in the weight room, whatever we're doing it together, and we're just trying to improve and find the solution instead of worrying about all the shit that we can't control.
If you're an Olympic judge, what is the 1 out of 10 score for that flop?
No comment. No comment.
You're averaging a sack a game, on pace for a career high. Any reason why you think that is? Any improvement to your game? You feel like you're playing your best football you've ever played right now?
Yeah, there's more is required. For me, I've started. I feel like I've started off doing pretty well, but. For me, like I said, I take it personal. I do this all year round. I want to be the best, and it's an everyday process. So next week I got to be even better. So I do it for my guys. I do it for everybody in my circle, all the people I love most. I'm doing it for them, and not the people that doubt me. The people have been doubting me forever. I do it for the ones that love me and believe in me. And that's, every time I go out there, I take it personal. Try to stay as level-headed as possible and take it one play at a time. And I feel like that's translated to the field.
The sacks that you put up, can you talk about the rest of the line, the looks that they're able to get with, Malcolm and Bilal? What are those guys doing to help you have the production you're having?
Yeah, Malcolm's doing a great job. Malcolm's done awesome ever since he's got in there. He's getting more and more reps every week. He had a great offseason, great camp. And I feel like, he's earned the right to, get those snaps. And Bilal and Jerry and Adam Butler and Jenkins, all those guys are getting better and better every single week. And you just see the defense. Everybody's talking about last week. Everyone was saying it's a fluke that we, held the Chargers to nothing in the second half, and then we come out, we play better this week. So for us, it's just about being solution-based and getting better every single time we go on the field. It's not about, the panic, the panic, the stress, all that. It's like, all right, we're going to do this together. We're the only guys we got, and we're going to find a way. And that's what we're banking on, and trusting each other, trusting the coaching staff, and, just continuing to improve. So, we hear a lot of noise all during the week. We hear it all the time. But at the end of the day, we're out there and we got to win. So, tonight was a big step, for it. But like I said, more is required. We got to go out there and get another one next week.
You guys have been so close the last couple of weeks. There's been some frustration, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So, how badly do you guys need this win?
Yeah, it's huge. I said it last week. We got to win. We have to win this game. If we're 1-4, it's like things start getting real. So, for us, we're I love this team. I love the guys in the locker room. I feel like, we're trying to do everything right, and tonight was a testament of that. It wasn't pretty, but we found a way. And like I said, every day I get to show up, in the building with these guys. It's a blessing. So we just got to keep improving and get another win next week.
The Packers came in this game, they were hitting a lot of the deep balls. And did you guys put a little bit more pressure on yourselves as far as the defensive line to get to the quarterback to rush him a little bit? So you guys had those opportunities on the back end?
No question. Every single week I feel like we've done a better and better job of getting pressure on the quarterback. So yeah, like I said, we take it personal. This group, especially the D-line, we have a great D-line. We do everything together. We have D-line dinners every Thursday. We do everything together. And Robbie Leonard, Matt Edwards, those guys are leading us, as coaches. And we have, just great guys in the room that are all looking to improve. So that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. And I feel like, it's showing up on Sundays.
Both the Raiders wins this season. They scored 17. And the words, it wasn't pretty, but we got it done, were said. Is that something usually when people say that, they're talking about a defensive win.
Yeah.
You take pride in winning those ugly ones, or you're kind of looking forward to then get a little prettier?
I don't care. As long as we win, I'm happy. So simple as that.
And thoughts on Robert having a career night?
Yeah.
Picks. Yeah,
I love it. Spillane is my guy. He's a damn maniac, and I appreciate every bit of him. He's a great dude. He shows up every day with enthusiasm, and that's the guys you want around the locker room and on the practice field. He's on the field before practice, running around, running post routes. Me and him are throwing each other the ball around like we're kids. But guys like that you need in the locker room, and he shows up with the energy and passion to get better every day, and that's all you can ask for.
Funny thing, he said the same thing about you, that you're a maniac too. So
yeah,
you guys
for sure.
definitely get along.
Yeah, we definitely are a little off, but that's why we get along.
Over the weeks, the leaders have preached about how last year was about talking about, and this year was about doing it.
Yeah.
How satisfying and that just resiliency that you guys have made those plays now in this turnaround and translate it.
Well, it's one game. We got the win. But like you said, we got to go out there and continue it. It can't just be one game. We got to go out and beat New England. So we're going to do everything we can to put ourselves in that position. And that's what we're planning on doing.
So there was Mad Max Crosby in the Raiders locker room, another guy that I gave a game ball to, as well as Robert Spillane and Amik Robertson. And as I mentioned, we also talked to Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Peters, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Jacoby Myers, Tyree Wilson, Bilal Nichols, and Andre James. So we'll have more of that coming up on the show. And, of course, on Raider Nation Radio, 920 Unnecessary Roughness. So we'll continue to deep dive into this game. We'll take a look at what's troubling. We'll talk to head coach Josh McDaniels around 10:30 this morning. So I got a couple of questions that I want to ask him about decisions that he made. And again, not in a disrespectful way, but just try to help me understand and try to help everyone understand what goes through his mind when he makes a couple of the decisions that he made, like not calling a timeout before halftime, like not going for it on 4th and 2 down the stretch instead of opting to kick a field goal that the Raiders did not get. So try to get all that from Coach McDaniels. Also, we'll have obviously more sound. We'll get back to your calls and texts on tomorrow's show. We'll have more news and notes and plenty of conversation here on the Locked On Raiders podcast. So congratulations, Raiders. They needed a big win. Congratulations, Raider Nation. I know Raider Nation needed a big win. Hell, I'm happy that the Raiders got a big win just for the sake of getting a win, just because I know that it makes Raider Nation a little bit happier. Even though there's clearly a lot of work still left to do, it's much better to have a lot of work left to do coming off a victory than a lot of work left to do coming off a bad loss. So there it is right there. Until tomorrow, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.